Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Well, welcome to episode number 54. And what are we talking about today?
Today, we're talking about retirement accounts. Woohoo!
Yes, and that is the voice of Megan Hibbard, the co-host of the Monday Money Tip Podcast. Are you fired up today?
Fired up. It's another Monday.
Yes, and my name is Joe Sangle. I'm so excited to be with you guys again to help you take a positive step in your financial journey. It's one of those things that we recognize that money is not a moment. It is a journey, and we're glad to be able to have one little tip through the week, every week, to help you in that journey. Today, we have a great topic. We're talking about retirement accounts, as Megan said. So we have a featured question. Share what that question is.
Yep, our featured question today. I just got my first job. Congratulations. And I have two retirement account options, a 401k and a Roth 401k. Within them, I have lots of investment options. Can you help me figure out what I should choose?
Yes, and that's going to be great. And so before we dive into that question, we're going to talk about some right now relevant information in that great section of the podcast. You know what that is. Let's go.
Now it's time to get caught up with our current money events.
This portion of the podcast is sponsored by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. Their savings and investing tools are designed to help you make more informed decisions. Whether you're wanting to know what your investment strategy will produce for you by retirement age or determining how much you should save from each paycheck for known upcoming non-monthly expenses like Christmas, vacation, and car repairs, you'll find the calculator you need at iwbnin.com. Click on Tools and select Saving and Investing.
That's awesome. And you should definitely check it out. There's a lot of great stuff there that helps you really quickly get to some numbers to help you understand whether or not you're on track with such great things like retirement and your other investments and for your big, fully funded life. So today in the Right Now Relevant is that time to do a stock market update.
Woo!
And so we're going to talk about where the Dow Jones is. And at the date of this recording, of course, we don't record on the day we actually release, so we're recording a little early here. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is at 26,037 points. Is that exciting? It's over 26,000. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And the NASDAQ is at 7822.95 to be exact.
Critical.
And the S&P 500 is at 2884. And the Russell 2000 is at 1517. Just to put it in perspective, the Dow Jones Industrial Average over the past month, let's look at the last year. The last year, its high has been kind of 26,282. And so that's pretty good. It's actually gotten through the day a little higher than that to like 26,833 during the day. And so it's had a little dip. It's had several dips. We had a big crash, as we mentioned, in December-ish of 2018. It's been running up through maybe March, and then it's kind of wobbled around. And then the month of May was kind of down. And the month of June, it's just been tearing back up, and, in July. So here's what I know. The stock market has been generally healthy. And one of the things we like to look at is whether or not the market is correct, is correctly priced. And so one of the things that we like to take a look at is the price to earnings ratio. And one of the things that you want to look at is how many dollars are you paying for every annual dollar of profit that the company produces. And that is a very important number to understand because it helps you really determine whether or not you're overpaying. So for every dollar of profit, the market, when it's ran pretty good, when it's priced right and it's bouncing along good, is the price to earnings ratio. So how much you're paying per every annual dollar of profit is about 17.5. So $17.50 paid for every dollar of profit. Does that mean it takes you 17 and a half years to get that money back? No, because many of these companies also pay dividends. And so some companies pay dividends of 3 or 4%. So if you're getting 3 and 4% back every single year,
It's helping.
and you're also getting growth in the value of the stock, well, then you can get the money back sooner. And so that's super important to pay attention to. And right now, the market is priced generally about right. Now, there's lots of challenges that America is facing. There's Chinese tariffs, Mexican tariffs. There's maybe too high interest rates. Maybe there's talk about it being reduced. Here's what I know. You can't predict in the short term what can happen in the markets. But I do know that right before the market declined horribly in 2008 and started what's become known as the Great Recession, the price to earnings ratio had grown to over $40 per dollar of profit.
Wow.
And so right now, the market seems priced generally pretty stably. And so I just will share this. I'm not a investing specialist. I know that my investments have worked out well for me so far for the last 23 years, but I'm still buying. And so I'm buying individual stocks, and I'm also buying S&P 500 index funds. And Warren Buffett, the great oracle of Omaha, 88 years old as the recording of this podcast, says that most people would do quite well to buy shares of a good S&P 500 index fund. Almost all of us listening to this podcast who have a retirement account available to us or who have a Roth IRA account set up have access to a 500 index fund, and that is a great place to start because it is betting on the American economy, which over time has proven to be a great bet. And so I just wanted to share that with the stock market update. I would love to hear what you guys are doing out there in podcast land. Are you continuing to buy? Are you continuing to contribute to your 401k, your Roth IRA, your Roth 401k, 457, 403b, whatever your account name is? Are you continuing to buy real estate? I like real estate when it's priced right, of course. And are you buying any precious metals? Whether or not that's something that you're into. Are you starting a small business? Because I will tell you, it's very important to diversify your investments and not just have them diversified within the stock market, but be diversified outside of them as well. And again, I will share this in the show notes. You can download a copy of all my investments, which I publicly disclose every March at iwbnin.com/investments. And so that's it for today's current money events section.
Okay. All right. Our success story today comes from Andy. And Andy says, our budget has been amazing and we can't imagine not doing a budget. We have tithe, paid off debt reduction, paid off debt, reduced our outgoing money, and put into savings every month along with investing in our future. Thanks for educating us in God's way.
That's awesome. A great success story in our podcast, the Monday Money Tip podcast, is powered and fueled like jet fuel by your success. And so thanks, Andy, for sending us your success story. I always like to point out a couple pointers in people's success stories. One of them is the budget has been amazing. Congratulations. Budgets are amazing. I don't care what anybody says, what any spender says. They're very amazing. And we cannot imagine not doing a budget. Neither can I. And as of this podcast, we have done a budget 192 consecutive months in a row.
Congratulations.
Get fired up. Yeah. That's 16 years exact.
That's a long time.
Woo! Changed my life. We've tithed, which means they put God first in their finances. They've chosen to make that a priority. They've paid off their debt, which is awesome, which reduces their outgoing money. What he's really saying is it gave him monthly margin. As we like to say, there's two types of margin. There's operating reserves. It's reserves margin, money you have saved already. It's just money sitting there. And then there's monthly margin, which is money you're able to save each month. That's really good to have that. And so he's got both. That's awesome. Congratulations, Andy. Get fired up. And we want to hear your story too. So make sure you send it to us.
Yep. Okay, so now we're going to dive into our teaching. So just to remind you of our featured question about retirement accounts. So I just got my first job and I have 2 retirement account options, a 401k and a Roth 401k. Within them, I have lots of investment options. Can you help me figure out what I should choose?
Well, yes. That's great. You should choose at least one. It's a simple answer. Both are fantastic. And so 401k or their equivalents of 403b, 457, the thrift savings plan, the TSP, and IRA, they are all pre-tax type of accounts. You have money withdrawn from your paycheck or you have it contributed automatically, and you get to keep it from being taxed right now. And it will allow you to use money that would have went to the government, and you get to use that money to grow. But the problem is, at retirement, when you start taking money out of that account, it will be taxed. And so there's another type of account called a Roth 401k or Roth 403b or Roth IRA, named after Senator Roth, who founded this. And this is where you put in money post-tax, which means it's already taxed. And the benefit of that is it will grow free of taxes all the way to retirement. And then at retirement, when you pull it out, no taxes. Does that fire you up?
That fires me up. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Let's do that one.
And so I don't know what's right for you. And people ask this question as we've been asked here. And so which is right? And there's a question that has to be asked before you determine what's right for you. And that question is, do you believe your personal tax rate will be more today or on the day you retire? So let me ask you that question, Megan. Do you think your personal tax rate will be higher today or when you retire?
When I retire.
Okay. So many people immediately run to, oh man, the government keeps increasing taxes. When I retire, it's going to be even higher. But we forget one major fact, that most people, when they go into retirement, will no longer be earning income, which means the income that you pull may be less. And the type of income you receive is different because many people will be receiving income, but it won't be earned income. And there is an important distinction between earned income and unearned income. Earned income is subject to employment taxes known as Social Security and Medicare, which adds up to 15.3% of your pay.
Yeah.
If you're paying it, it's 7.65% of your pay, but your employer matches it. And if you have unearned income, rental income, dividend income, long-term capital gains income from appreciated stock, business income, that is unearned income, and it is not subject to employment taxes. Generally, it's a lower tax rate. Isn't that awesome?
Huh.
And so that's very important to think about. So if you believe that your taxes will be more today than the day you retire, so let me ask you the question, Megan. Hearing that, now if the answer is not so clear, is it?
It's not clear.
It's not as clear. But if you believe the tax rate is more today than the day you retire, then delay taxation till retirement and choose the 401k or IRA type of investment. If you believe that it will be more on the day you retire, pay the taxes now by choosing the Roth IRA. And so I happen to believe that my personal tax rate will be higher at retirement. I believe that for me. I won't know that until I retire. But I believe it will be higher based on some decisions I've made and the blessings I've been able to achieve in my life. And so I've chosen as much as possible to have Roth IRA type of investments. I do have both. While we're on the topic of taxation, it is important to know about something called RMDs. Tell everybody what that stands for.
Required minimum distributions.
So what is a required minimum distribution? Do you know?
The minimum you're required to get out.
That's right. And when does it start?
70 and a half.
That's right. And so at age 70 and a half, she's cheating. She's looking at the paper.
I might have said 65, so
Yeah.
I was a little bit off.
So RMDs are required minimum distributions. And it's important to understand this because starting at the age of 70 and a half, if you have money that you've put into these pre-tax retirement accounts, those 401k, 403b, 457, TSP, or regular IRA investments, that the government says, hey, we want to start taxing some of that. We need some tax dollars. So at age 70 and a half, they will make you prepare a calculation. Your CPA will help you calculate that because hopefully you follow all of our advice and you need several CPAs in your life to manage all that money because you swim in it like Scrooge McDuck, but you're not Scroogey. Is that a term, Scroogey?
I don't think so, but we can make it
Yeah,
one.
that's great. So anyhow, they will calculate a required minimum distribution. And they force you to take that money out and they'll tax it. Get fired up. And it generally equates to about 4 or 5% of the overall balance in that type of account. And listen, this is why this matters. When you pull it out, your number of tax advantaged places to put that money again to get it back free of taxes, they start to dry up. And now that money, if it grows, you take it out and put it in a savings account, that interest each year is taxable. It's not in a special account anymore. And so money in a Roth IRA, and this is why Roth IRA and Roth 401k type of accounts are so popular, is that money is not subject to RMDs. So money in your Roth IRA can stay there till you're 85 if the Lord blesses you with that long life, and it's tax advantage all the way. Maybe even until you pass away, and it's been free of taxes all the way until you hand it off to your heirs. Tax-free. Get fired up.
That's awesome.
And so it's good to have some money in both types of accounts. And that's why I've chosen kind of a split approach. And I will tell you, if you've become very blessed and you've maxed out your Roth IRA and you've maxed out your 401k at work, and many people do. Did you know that?
Yeah.
And the reason being is their income has grown through life. They now have empty nested. Can you believe that Logan will one day be empty nested?
That's crazy.
Breaks mama's heart, I know.
It does.
But there is a day, and they go off on their own, and they pay their own bills. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. And you can put a lot of money away. Many people in their mid-50s, late 50s actually make their final mortgage payment. And they're like, whoo, I've got a bunch. The college expenses are gone. And they start stacking it up. And they max out their 401k. They max out their Roth IRA contribution. And they're looking for other ways to have tax advantage investments. One great one that many people don't know, it's called a hidden IRA really, is a health savings account. So if you have a high deductible health plan, then you can have a health savings account. And that money can be invested in mutual fund investments. I like HSA Bank, believe it or not. And that money, of course, has to be used for qualified medical expenses with one exception. After you reach age 65, you can use it for anything. Get fired up. And it is not subject to RMDs. So that money can grow all the way until you want to take it out. You're not forced through the RMDs to take it out. And so the added part of the question was, do I choose 401k or Roth 401k? Choose one. If you said, Joe, you have to choose one, I would choose the Roth 401k to start. Okay? But there was a second question, which is, I have lots of investment options. Can you help me figure out which ones I should choose? And that's like saying, which way will the wind blow 721 days from now? Like, that's hard to figure out. But I do want you to know we're going to dedicate an entire episode to this in the future. But for now, let's cover what we can. And so I wrote a book about this. You should pick it up at Amazon.com, or you can get a better deal at IWasBrokeNowI'mNot.com. And it's a book called Oxen. And any investment that helps you carry the financial load will work. And usually within your 401k or similar retirement account, it's really good to start with Warren Buffett's favorite, the S&P 500 index fund. It has low fees, and it really captures the overall growth of Americans' businesses. And since 1941, it's grown at a compound annual growth rate of about 11.48% a year. Now, some years it's gained 30%, other years it's lost 10%. But the compound annual growth rate, which is the best measure of year-over-year growth rate, is about 11.5%.
Not bad.
That's awesome. Another great option for those that don't want to know everything there is to know about investments and they're not ate up like I am and love this stuff, is a target retirement fund. So you basically say, what about what year will I retire? Okay, I'm 25 years old, 40 years from now. That's kind of the year 2060. So you can choose Target Retirement Account 2060. And it will automatically be more aggressive in earlier years. As you approach retirement age, it becomes more conservative, and it will keep adjusting automatically without you choosing for the next 10 years after you've retired through the year 2070. And so that can be a great choice. Yeah. Another one could be to choose a mix between, and we'll have this in the show notes, 25% of your money being split between 4 different types of fund. 25% into international, 25% into aggressive growth, 25% in growth funds, and 25% into growth and income funds. And again, all of my investments are publicly disclosed at iwbni.com/investments. And you can see the ones that have worked really well for me. I provide it as a starting point and a launch off point for all of our friends that we get to help. I don't have an investment license. I choose not to do that, so I can be a consumer advocate. But I do share it as a jump off point for people to learn for their own investing. We also have a helpful tool. Share that with them, Megan.
Yep. So our helpful tool is the investment value calculator, and you can find that on our website, and we'll also include a link to it. But iwasbrokenowimnot.com, go to tools, and under savings, you can find that calculator.
That's awesome. And we have a key quote for everybody to think about today.
Me
and what
too.
is that? It's one of my favorite
It is
sayings.
one. I was just going to say it's one of your favorites. It's there's no harvest if you do not invest.
And she didn't say it quite right.
There's no harvest if you do not invest.
There we go. Very good. It rhymes if you say it right. There is no harvest if you do not invest. And so I really encourage you to start contributing to retirement. And I'll finish with a story. Can I tell a story?
Do it.
So there was a day when, I started saving for my daughter's college education, and it seemed like a mythical, faraway, mysterious, that's not really ever going to happen day.
Like
After
it
all,
does right
we were
now
changing
for me.
diapers.
Yeah.
And, she was screaming. That's about what she did. She ate, she screamed, we changed diapers. It seemed mythical. But then all of a sudden, I found myself going on a college tour with a 17-year-old daughter, a rising senior. And it was very real. And here's the thing that I'm experiencing as a 45-year-old. I'm 45 years old right now on this podcast when we're recording it. And retirement feels the same way that saving for student loans did back then. I'm not for student loans, for college cost.
Prevent student loans.
And to prevent them. And you know what? That same feeling is here. Yet really fast, like I snapped my fingers fast, it became real. So I encourage you, if you're in your 20s, start contributing to retirement. You're in your 30s, get fired up and start saving for retirement. If you're in your 40s and you haven't started, hey, listen, there's no harvest if you don't invest. Get started now. If you're in your 50s, 60s, it's not too late. Follow the rungs of the ladder. Climb up it as soon as possible. Get to rung 6 as soon as possible and on to rung number 8. You'll be able to have the retirement you only dreamed of. Get fired up.
Awesome. Okay, so for our next episode, we're going to be talking about money of biblical proportions.
You've got to say it this way. We're going to talk about money of biblical proportions. Dun, dun, dun.
I feel like you have echo, portions.
Proportions.
All right, so we're going to be talking about all of my favorite, I guess this is you, all of your favorite scriptures that provide guidance on wise money management. It's going to be an epic episode, so make sure you tune in for that one.
That's right. It's going to be money of biblical proportions. All my favorite verses on money. Get fired up. I'm going to be fired up and wired up. This is going to be a keeper. You don't want to miss it.
Yep.
We might even talk about the Ark.
Oh, you went to...
I did. I went to the Ark Encounter in Williamsburg, Kentucky. Everybody should go.
I want to go.
It is awesome.
It looks really cool.
They have a zoo now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with dinosaurs, live ones. I made that up.
Okay. Are the animals
Alligators
on the
are
Ark?
dinosaurs. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're not alive in the Ark. But there's live animals outside the Ark because, in case you don't know, the flood has ended.
All right. So if you liked today's episode, please help us get this podcast to others who could benefit. You could do this by quickly rating our podcast and leaving us a review. And these reviews will help us make our podcast better for other listeners. And don't forget, on the last Monday of the month, we're going to be answering your top money questions. So make sure you send those in to us to info@iwbnin.com. And it could be featured on the podcast. And last but certainly not least, if you have implemented one of our tips, make sure you share your success story with us as well. And you can email that to info@iwbnin.com.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I'll finish with one more exhortation.
No.
It's Monday. I know everybody just starts listening to this podcast as soon as it's released. On the off chance it's not Monday, whatever day it is, listen, one seed in the ground can give you a harvest. A lot of seeds in the ground can give you bushel baskets full of a harvest. I want you to have that type. That's why we encourage you to start investing early and often. Up it. Make one decision this week to somehow increase your investments. You could go up by 1% to your retirement account. You could open an account at schwab.com, open a regular Roth IRA. You could go look at some real estate. Do one thing this week so that your next week will be even better. We'll see you next time. Episode number 55 will be on the way. Money of biblical proportions. Get fired up.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.